In 3, 2, 1. Well, good morning, warriors. This is the Worship Warrior Podcast, the most transparent Christian podcast you are ever going to find. We talk about our real life experiences in relation to all sorts of religious topics. And we are doing the same today because we are talking about, in my opinion, the two most, and I mean it, over-preached topics in the history of at least my lifetime, and I'm sure yours. We're talking about women being the head of the household and and gay marriages, alternative lifestyles of marriage to be more broad, but specifically that's probably what we're going to discuss because that's what everybody discusses.
Can you hear my gulps? Is that like ASMR?
Give it a shot. Actually, yeah. Sounds pretty good.
That is good.
Let us know what you think in the comments if you enjoyed that gulp. Maybe we'll make it a segment. We do need a couple of more of those, and we're pretty desperate.
You're welcome.
So first, before we get into these topics, like I said, we're going to talk about women in the Bible. And this is going to be more of like your lane. And I told you that beforehand. Because number one,
you're not a woman.
I'm not a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And number two,
you're not in the Bible.
I'm not as versed in the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
You are,
okay,
in a way.
Okay.
At least, would you say that? Well, I don't want to speak for you.
No, I would say that.
Go ahead. Let's talk about what's your relation with that first.
Oh my gosh. What does that mean?
Like,
I am very versed in the LGBT community.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
That is true.
Yeah. And we'll get into more of that stuff as we get into this podcast. Buckle up. We'll warm up a little bit. How about that?
You kind of just threw me in
How
there.
about we just warm up a little bit before we start talking about that directly? Yeah. We'll start with this. How you doing? How was your week?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great week. I'm getting ready for parent-teacher conferences. I'm super excited.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'm having a great week. I love my job. I love my after-school activities. Love my husband.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I make some friends. But, that's pretty much it.
I hope you do, too.
Yeah, I have some good work friends, I think.
Yeah. It's harder to make friends as an adult.
It's so much harder to make friends as an adult. That's the realty.
Yeah.
It is so much harder to make friends, especially like couple friends.
Talk about that.
Oh my gosh, it is so hard. We just want to go on a double date together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which speaking of, we actually do have an offer.
That's true.
We do need to follow up on that. So part of that's our bad too when you think about it. We'll get to it. But also we live a million miles away from everybody. So.
But we really do want to hang out with them.
Yeah, actually, genuinely.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that
Yeah.
and find people, and especially your age, I feel like.
Yeah. Your age that are married, kind of.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Your age that are married or kind of serious in a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
Because we get attached. It's like a breakup for us too. Like we get attached and then they break up and then we have to,
it's so sad.
Find another couple.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's happened to us a couple of times.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, I feel kind of selfish.
I know. I want them to work it out.
It's be like they're talking about it, their side of the story. I'm
forgive him.
Can you work it out? I really want to keep.
We had dinner plans.
Yeah. I can't really refund these tickets.
I know.
What are we gonna do?
That's why we need someone who's already married.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very good.
Yeah.
I will say this. I saw something just before we were recorded about is October your favorite month? And we're in the month of October. I think it's becoming my favorite month.
It is the best month,
Dude, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if you can attest to this, but I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm getting more amped up for October.
I know.
Like, I'm really excited.
It's the spooky.
Yeah.
It's the spooky.
I'm way more excited than I used to be. That's for sure.
The chill.
It's really cool.
The breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you used to be, and controversially, might I say, a summer guy.
Yeah.
I would say, Michael, what's your favorite time of the year? Summer.
Summer.
I love summer, but that's because he was conditioned by the education system. Because summer sucks.
Yeah.
Once you're an adult.
I'll say that's what changed, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why that was the reason, but it is true that I feel like you really only like summer when you're a kid because it means there's no more school for 3 months. But the actual
reality
season of summer is really uncomfortable. It sucks. Mm-hmm. It's so hot, and there's no end in sight. And then I do all these shows. Now that I'm working out there, oh my God, you got to bring like 10 water bottles to your show when you're doing these outside things. It's so very, very uncomfortable.
Not worth it. October's better.
October is becoming my favorite month. Mm-hmm. It's pretty awesome. All right, so let's get into the topic today. So, again, we're going to be talking about, like I said, women in the Bible. And so why are we talking about this? I feel like we're going to be doing this because, I personally feel like these specific topics get talked about a lot in the church. Like, you cannot escape, go into a church and not hearing this at least once, twice.
So true.
In our case, maybe 50 times.
100 times.
Maybe every single Sunday. So it's, and I think it's too dividing. There's like not really a good way. It's either one way or the other, but there has to be something in the middle. At least for our second topic.
Yeah, at least for our second topic. I feel like our first topic, if you're a Christian, is a little more.
Yeah. So for you guys following along at home,
turn to your Bibles.
Turn to your Bibles. If you're not able to do that, please it's all good. Just
stop
listen.
Driving.
No, don't do that. If you're
Google
on the road,
it.
No. Don't do anything to put yourself in harm. It's gonna be okay.
Hands up.
Nope. Jesus, take the wheel. Nope. Don't condone that. So we're gonna be in Ephesians 5, verse 22, and we're gonna be reading to 25. So we're gonna put that on the screen so you don't forget, and it goes like this: Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is head of the wife, and also Christ is head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. Can a woman ever be the head of the household in marriage?
I think biblically, if you're a Christian, no. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why do you say
that? Because it's like very, like it says it in the Bible, like point blank, no sugarcoating. It says it in the Bible.
Yeah.
But it's not in a mean way. It doesn't mean it in a mean way.
Right.
And I had to learn that as well. It's not like out of a bad place that God is saying it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
And there's some conditions to it. Like, there's some conditions to it. Of course, like it has to be like a good Christian man.
Right.
It's not like some random horrible man.
Yeah.
And obviously that man like can't abuse you. And if he starts abusing you, then it's like you don't fall under that authority anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think is important to make the distinction, because I have, in my experience, I've heard some people talk about this and kind of be like, well, and then you can attest this. Maybe you've experienced this in church.
Not me, you, the audience member.
Yes, you pointed to the camera. Yes, unless you're listening, then in case, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Which is that I think it can be twisted. It can to be like, I guess more. I don't know, condemning or so.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, can I ask you this?
Ask me something.
As a man. And you can be honest, like growing up, you were a teenager and you're hearing all these things. Like if you ever thought about your future wife, did you see it as someone who would be submitting to you? And in what way? Or did you just not think about marriage?
Here's the thing.
It is really thrown on girls.
Truthfully,
way more.
I didn't feel as much pressure. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing that shocks me is that it was more of like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? At least for me, it was
because
like,
you're not the one submitting.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's what I've seen in my household.
Yeah, of course she's gonna submit to me. I mean,
but I didn't really. Yeah, but I didn't really. At least for me, I didn't really think of it as like a. I didn't really think much more than that. It wasn't, which is why when I met other women like you, and then talked to my sister and stuff, was when I learned that like, oh, okay, this actually.
Something women struggle with
has a whole different thing that I can't really attest to. It's really for you guys to digest and figure out.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow.
The part that I think is for us, which is towards the end, which is verse 25 of Ephesians, which basically goes like, which is basically saying, men, respect your wives. Now that was taught to me, and I do. I mean, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
I believe that wholeheartedly, that you should respect every woman, every person, and that that's more of what I focused on, which was just respecting people. And because of that, it's very important to me. And that's the thing about us is that, I feel like we have that. I don't think there has ever been any issue with either of these things for us specifically. So the reason we talk about it is for those who like maybe this is an issue. Maybe this is something that you struggle with, that maybe you are being abused. And here's I'll say this. No, you should not listen to me. If you are in an abusive relationship right now, get out of it. You should not, under any circumstance, try to stick it out. That is horrible. That is not what the Bible is saying here. That is not what Ephesians is telling you. It is not telling the woman to submit to a man who is going to abuse them, because right there in verse 25, after it tells women to submit to their husband, it says, men, respect your wives as if they are the church, as you would the church. And that's basically saying, treat you guys, with the same love that Jesus did to us.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a big, just love,
Yeah.
And then not trying to manipulate you. So I think that's very important to distinguish. And I think that's more of where I think the miscommunication I've heard comes from in churches sometimes is that you should stick it out. You know what I'm saying? Like you should stick it out, or like no, like you should just like not. Let me ask you. Actually, let me ask.
It's a rough patch.
It's a rough patch. Sometimes it is, but that doesn't mean that he's abusing you.
Abuse is not a rough patch, though.
I'm saying like a rough patch is a rough patch. That's more of like.
We just went through a rough patch.
We just went through a rough patch.
There was no abuse there, guys.
No, our rough patch was literally, we're hanging out, we're chilling, but there's something missing.
Yeah.
We're not really connecting the same. Maybe I look at you. We both said that we kind of became roommates.
Yeah.
That's a rough patch.
That's a rough patch.
You
didn't hit me.
Not once did that happen. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Vice versa.
But what was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you something.
You were going to ask me something, and it looked really good.
It was going to be good.
Let me ask you this.
Because I just thought about it.
Yeah, I know.
Let me think about it. Let me ask you this. Let me try to go back. Let me try to rewind.
Okay.
And try to remember what I was going to ask you.
We'll cut this out.
No. Yeah, we probably will.
I have a quote here.
Oh, good. All right. I forgot what I was going to say, so we're going to go to her quote.
I have a quote, not a Bible verse, a quote.
Okay.
From an article.
Yeah.
The wife is not a servant. She is a leader with various kinds of talents and abilities as depicted in Proverbs 31.
So bringing another Proverbs 31, which we've talked about.
Which we've talked about because that was really like the only thing I was hanging on to when studying women in the Bible.
Yeah. Why did Proverbs? So what does that mean? What does that quote mean to you? Why did you bring that to the table?
Well, because the wife is not a servant. She's a leader with various kinds of talents and abilities as depicted in Proverbs.
Interesting.
31.
So what do you mean by servant? She's not a servant.
She's not a servant.
Because aren't we all called to be servants by Christ?
Of course, but we're talking within the boundaries of marriage.
Okay.
I mean, a wife serves her husband, of course, but it's like, of course, dudes, a wife is a servant onto her husband, but she's also a leader. You know what I mean? In her marriage, she's she has her own talent. She can do her own things. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I would say I totally agree with that, and that reminds me of what I was going to ask you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Which is thank you very much. Yeah, which is that when it comes to decisions, let's talk about decisions for a second. Let's talk about now we've established. Let's say, man, head of the household. You cannot dispute that in the Bible and our opinions. That is what it says.
Our opinion and our marriage.
And our marriage. This is what we do. Okay, so head of the household, me, right? We're married. You are under me. Yeah. We come to a decision. So what does that mean? So let's say we have to make a choice on where we live. Okay. So I'm telling you, I'm feeling in my heart that God really wants us to move to Austin. But you say, I feel in my heart that we should move to Houston. You see where I'm going with this?
This is exactly what happened.
This has been a thing, which is what I'm talking about. We are not afraid to bring our own things into this. Okay. So we went through that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a decision. We don't necessarily agree.
Yeah.
What happens? What do you think the order should be?
Well, we talk about it. We talk about it. I will be honest. We went through a phase where we weren't really in the Bible, but when we are, you go, okay, well, I'm going to pray about it. We talk about it more. We kind of come to terms together.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt like you've been, well, I'm going to do the final call. And you have, I guess, biblically right to. Yeah. But it's never felt that way to me where it's like, I'm sorry. Like it's always been us coming to terms together. Right. And you being understanding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. And so that's what I was going to get to, which is that another thing that I think can get misconstrued, and this is not how it should be, which is that you should not blindly just follow your husband. The God I know, the Bible in here encourages you to have you become one, right? And as a married couple, I believe that means you got to talk about things. You got to figure this out.
So much talking.
There's a lot of talking. We've talked all day today.
Yeah, we talked all day. I mean, because we went through a rough patch.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this new thing where we are hanging out at the park and talking, reading a book together,
which has just been freaking awesome.
It's just been freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking. I almost didn't want to do this because I'm tired of talking.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know. But that's what I believe it is. It's like it's you are one person. You come to a thing like this, you talk about it, you share about it, you pray about it, you ask God about it, and then it'll be delivered to you. Now here's the thing. I don't ever feel like I've had to make like this is the final decision because we've always come to terms with something.
Yeah, except on finance stuff.
That is true.
Which I do appreciate.
Yeah. I do make the final decision for a lot of financial things, and I think that is a good thing for us.
Yeah. That's what works for us.
Yeah. I believe like what you really got to do is like figure out what works well for you in the sense of like, okay, man's head, wife is going to submit to him. Maybe the wife is better at finances than the dude. So maybe as the head, just like in a head of business, hear me out. Now I could be completely off base with this, but hear me out. Hear me out. The head, I would consider it the same as being a business owner in a way. So let's make that analogy. If you know you're not good at this, would you not allocate it to someone who is better?
Damn.
So then you would say, you are actually going to make the financial decisions because I do not have
as much knowledge
or as much constraint or restraint. I'm a emotional buyer.
Me.
You, yes. But it's not always the woman. And, and for us, I do believe I am better with that. So I do take more control in that area.
Yeah, I agree.
You are better at cooking.
It just so happens I'm better at the girl things. It just so happens.
Here's what's hilarious to me is that you. It's so funny because when we first met, and even now, like she's been way more like, I guess, progressive. Can I say that?
No, I'm a crazy progressive liberal feminist. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No,
that has been her
1,000%.
And she is this is just how it is. We literally line up perfectly. Yeah. Like there is no dispute within us about this ever. Like you definitely do the more female things around the house.
Well, because I tell them all the time, it's really not about what me being progressive, liberal, feminist, whatever, is really not about what is going on in my life specifically. Like I do fall into this, like I am a Christian. I do fall under wanting to serve my husband. And I told him before we got married, like when I'm your wife, I do want to fall like under you, and I do want to like submit in the biblical way, not like the scary term submit is scary, but in the biblical way. And I'm mostly a feminist because of other choices that women want to make. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
So what would you say to like a woman? Now this might be hard. So here we go.
Okay. I cry. Is that what you mean?
Not like that. No, I mean like I don't really know the answer to this either. Is what I mean. Okay. Like it might hard to answer. But like let's say a woman wants to. It comes to you, all right, and they're like, huh?
The woman comes to me.
To you, okay, all right, as the Christian, and maybe she's a Christian, but it's like, look, here's the thing. I'm ultra feminist. I want to be with this dude, but I don't really want. Like I kind of want to be more of the lead. Mm-hmm. What should I do?
I would say, girl, listen, I get it. Me too. But biblically, this is what it says. I love you, and I know it's going to be hard. Mm-hmm. This is what the Bible says, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm very shocked by that answer. I thought you would totally say something else. Yeah.
Well, I can't, because, listen, I can't be like, do what you want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you ever feel like you want to say that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course I want to say do what you want. Mm-hmm. I'm a feminist.
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
But it's different because she's a Christian specifically.
Okay.
Like if you were to tell me someone who's not, like I had a friend who's not Christian. Mm-hmm. She goes up to me, she's like, hey, my Christian husband wants me to submit, but I'm not a Christian. I don't know what to do. I would say, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, if you're not a Christian, then don't do it.
Very interesting.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm a feminist, because I believe other people have the right to choose. I choose this. Some people might not choose this. Mm-hmm. I don't have a right to force that onto them.
Mm-hmm. So you're more, you more fight for the choices of people.
I fight more for the choices of people.
Very fascinating. Do you believe, let me ask you this, and then we'll move on, going into feminism and being a Christian, because you were a Christian feminist, which is pretty weird, I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
I don't know. It's just not, it's not as common. Okay. It's not as common, right?
Yeah, that's
Do you feel like you get a bad rep?
Oh, yeah, my gosh, all the time.
You get it like both ways, huh?
Oh, my gosh, all the time. All the time. Yeah, Christians are like, she's liberal. And people, my liberals friends are like, Anna, you've really changed.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, again, I was crazy atheist.
Yeah.
Like, Anna, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny. But before we leave, I do have another quote.
Okay, we'll go into that real quick.
Okay.
Very quickly.
If my husband is wrong in his decision making, he bears the responsibility before God. I don't envy that position. That was a quote from an article. Very nice. I will say, women, listen. Mm-hmm. That is one of the nice things.
Yeah.
That is a bonus, at least for me, where it's like, and sadly, it's more scary for the men in our lives. But that's on them. I mean, we have to deal with a lot of stuff too. This is their cross to bear. The choice is more, it means more to us. Is that what you're saying? Like, it would more fall on us? Yeah, yes, I agree. Because we are under the man, I don't want to say authority, I guess, like, because we are under. Well, because authority has been used as a bad term. Exactly. In a bad way. Because we're under the man supporting him, right? Mm-hmm. God will kind of place more of that responsibility on him. Therefore, if we're ever strayed, it is his responsibility. That's it. And not mine. That's it. There you go. And not mine. And not yours. Yeah. Although I would argue a little bit against that and say that it is yours a little bit. I guess. Because, everybody has their own. But that's hard. I got to imagine that's pretty hard. Like, what do you do? I'm trying to move on, but also this is so interesting. I mean, this is what we know. It is what it is. Like, what do you do? Like, let's say, like, what would you do? Like, knowing that. What would you do? That what? If you were being led astray.
If I was being led astray, I'm starting to make some really bad choices. I'm starting to go a little off the deep end. What would you do? How would you?
Well, then it's my responsibility to support you and put you in check.
And I think
we've done that sometimes.
Okay, yeah, well. I make some irrational decisions sometimes.
Exactly. I go, hey, Michael, and this is so funny because we've totally had this conversation. It's like, hey, Michael, I've noticed these things. This is how it's affecting our relationship. Yeah. I need you to step it up, or, I'm going to be closed off. Or
You've done that.
Yeah.
You've done that.
Or I'm telling you, and it's not even that I want this relationship to get worse. I just know that sometimes you have to put things on the line for the other person to understand the depth of what.
Yes.
Or the depth of how it's affecting you.
Yes.
So you as a wife have the responsibility of as a partner, really, you as a partner have the responsibility of making sure that your partner knows that if they keep going somewhere they're not meant to, or going somewhere that's hurting them, hurting the relationship, to say, hey, if you keep going down this road, I don't feel comfortable with our normal relationship rules. I'm going to pull back, or I'm not down for this, or,
Yeah, that's really good.
At least that's my opinion.
I totally agree with that.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're getting at. So
what about you, though, as the husband? If I'm the wife, right? And I am the wife.
You are the wife.
And I'm like, well, I don't care. What do you do?
Well, this has never happened.
Or if I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to.
Okay. Well, if you were doing something you weren't, I didn't think you were supposed to, let's say, what I would count that as is, maybe you're going out a lot and, breaking, boundaries. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I talked to you about it, try to figure this out. If it got to it, I would say similar to you, you got to change this or else I'm not going to put up with it.
Yeah, and I will say that was, last resort.
Yeah.
That was, last resort.
Yeah. Now, going back to what would you do, if you were I don't care about what you say, I feel like that's a huge issue. I would feel disrespected. Yeah. I think that's the right feeling to have, and I think we would have to go to therapy. I think that I don't know how to get out of that. I'd be like
counseling, yeah.
And that'd be I'd be like, God's telling me something. I'm like, okay, oh hey, God says we're going to Austin. You say no.
Yeah.
I'd be like, gosh, she said no. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I can't make her. I'd need other help at that point, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I think that would definitely be the move.
Yeah, for sure.
To get other guidance in that.
Amen.
So before we move on, we've talked about this for a while. I appreciate your insight.
I appreciate your insight.
Thank you. I was going to give myself credit.
Appreciate yourself. Jeez.
Glad you did that. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate my insight. I appreciate you guys. Bottom line, if I had to summarize this in a couple of sentences, I would say the Bible is pretty clear. A woman cannot be the head of the household. It's not a bad thing. And if you use it to abuse your spouse, that is way worse. That is horrible. Mm-hmm. And what it really means, submit, has been used as a somewhat derogatory term, when it really just means support, really be a unit, really be, I guess,
the neck of the head.
The neck of the head. That's a really good one. Your job is to be the neck of the head, and a head cannot survive without a neck.
Mm-hmm. And the neck cannot survive without a head.
Unless you're a chicken.
So true. Also, again, this is all if you're Christian.
Yeah, obviously. Well, if you're watching this and you're not Christian,
well,
I don't know. But that's true. Maybe
respectfully.
Respectfully.
Do what works for your marriage.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. That was really great. It's time.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop.
What you hear right now
beep, boop, beep, boop, beep,
is telling us
beep, boop, beep, boop,
it's time to talk about some news around the world. This is a new segment we're doing. I'm very excited about it, but not excited about the topic.
Oh, yeah. Actually.
We aren't going to talk too much about this because
we don't know too much
about this.
I'm not going to say something that I'll regret later.
Exactly. But I will say that you can't just gloss over this. So what we're talking about, of course, is if you don't know, which I'm sure you do by now, because we record these a week behind, so I'm sure you know by now.
And if you don't, get educated. Turn on the news.
Yes.
There is stuff happening in the world, people.
And the stuff that's happening is there is a war going on.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yes. And, of course, we're talking about Israel and the Palestinians.
Palestinians, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, are in war.
They have been.
They have been for a while, but now it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
Things are happening.
Things are happening. Well, things have always been happening.
Yes.
Respectfully, to the sides.
Just stop talking there.
Well, because I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't know much. Now, I will be honest. In the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so scary for Israelites. Mm-hmm. And it is terrifying until later I find that this has been happening for years for the Palestinians as well. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's war and it's so sad. And innocent lives no one's rooting for innocent lives to be wasted, It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about people who have been oppressed. That's
the takeaway. That's the way I look at it as well, which is I went in not really knowing much about this conflict. Yeah. And again, if you look, like some media dude is like really picking sides, and that's always crazy.
Really picking sides.
And then you're like, oh, that's horrible. Like, look at Palestine just killing a bunch of people for no reason. And then you learn more about the story, and then you're like, oh, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what it does is just, it makes it all horrible at the end of the day, right? Yeah. It's like.
Yeah. There's no justification for innocent lives lost, but innocent lives have been lost on both sides.
Yeah.
It's
hard. Mm-hmm. And I think the craziest thing, like I said, the civilians that are being impacted, the innocents, it really, that's what breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And then also seeing because I've seen some footage and seeing the children impacted and seeing them, holding weapons and seeing them getting attacked. It's like, all we can say is prayers for everybody involved. We pray that this gets gets over with as soon as possible. But this has been a conflict that's happening for almost 100 years, right? So it's like, that's all you can really do is just be aware of it, be, educated on it, and just send love that way.
And support.
Really. And support, yeah.
If you can donate, go ahead and donate.
Donate to what?
The Palestinian efforts.
Oh, okay.
We're not picking sides, though, actually. So, I don't know. Maybe cut that out. I guess to relief. Yeah.
There you go.
Donate to relief.
I don't know. I didn't know that you could donate, so.
You could totally donate. Yeah. Donate to relief.
Yeah. I will say this last thing on it, because, again, we don't know much about it. We shouldn't talk about it too much, but I will say that a great news channel that covered it was Channel 4 News. It looked like a Britain, a UK thing.
BBC?
I don't know. It's a Channel 4. I don't know. But look it up on YouTube. It was like this 20-minute video, and maybe I'll link it, actually, because that's pretty vague. But it was sick. It, covered both sides pretty fairly, I'd say. So that's how I got my information on it. Check it out. Now, what we are going to talk about now, switching gears, because we don't want to stay on that too long, is football, because that's much lighter. More specifically,
it is much lighter.
The Dallas Cowboys suck again.
Yeah, they do.
Just like they did the year before, just like they did the year before that.
Okay.
Just like they did when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Just like they did when I was 2 years old. Just like I did. Just like they did before I was born. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Got me all worked up over here. Again, filmed these a week behind. But what just happened, and you don't know much about football, but if you know what I'm talking about. The Dallas Cowboys, you know a little bit more now. And especially after last week's episode, we covered that, a little bit more. Yes. But we're talking about the Cowboys facing the 49ers. No Taylor Swift this week. And how they
When do they face Taylor Swift?
I don't actually know. I don't know if they do or not.
I'll be watching that.
You'll be watching that one for sure. That'll be a tough one.
No.
But this past 2 weeks ago, Cowboys lost to the 49ers 42-10. Oof. That's not even the worst part.
That's rough.
That's not even the worst part.
That's the worst part.
This clip, and it's been going around. We're not going to let it die. This clip. And it's a clip of Micah Parsons, who was on the Cowboys, basically saying on his podcast, because everybody has a podcast now.
I know.
After the game, after they got beat 42-10, babe. After they got beat 42-10, he went on to say, oh, I left that apart. Because of George Kittle, who is a tight end for the San Francisco 49ers, he had I can't say this word because it's a Christian podcast, F Dallas shirt. And he displayed it after a touchdown. And
That's
after
so rude. That's actually so rude.
After that, on his podcast, Micah Parsons' podcast, he goes, "Well,
my guy, but I'm gonna say this: laugh now, cry later. We got something for that. Just trust. If we see them again, just trust. And we're gonna put it just like that. I ain't gonna put too much on it. You gonna make it personal? We can make it personal."
And to which everybody is like, "Bro, look, I get it, but even as a fan, I can't get behind that. We just got whooped. Mm-hmm. Not only did we get whooped this year, we got whooped the last 2 years by this team. Mm-hmm. Make it personal. What are you going to do next time? Mm-hmm. We're probably going to lose 60-0. Yeah. We're going to break the record. We're literally going to break the record. Miami tied the record for the most points scored against the team. We're going to break that record next year against San Fran, and not in the way that you think. We're going to be in the losing end of that, dude. It's going to be horrible. I am not happy about this. Another news, I am doing great on my fantasy football team, so thank you very much.
That's true, he is.
That's the only silver lining, is that I have Deebo Samuel on my team, and I like him.
Hey, dude, this is your segment. Hey, dude, we're here for you.
Oh, God,
we are here for you.
Thank you. That's all I had to say. I had to get that off my chest.
No, for sure. Yeah, we appreciate that.
I had to rant a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really hard being a fan. I've not gonna lie. Sometimes I've cheated. Yes, on the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, you have on the Chiefs with the Chiefs.
Some would call me a bandwagoner. I would just say I'm smart. Look, when I see a ship that's sinking, I definitely would rather jump on the one that's not gonna hit the iceberg. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I do. That's just smart. Okay, so, but I can't deny my roots. This is my team. Mm-hmm. All right, and I'm trying not to do
really
that.
bad team.
They're a really bad team.
It's not as bad as the Texans.
The Texans, they're not even on the radar. That's how bad they are. They're like not even in the conversation.
I know, but they're cool.
Why are they cool?
Because I'm from Houston.
Yeah, your team sucks.
Okay, whatever. Continue.
Mine has rings.
Continue.
Basically, what I'm saying is, it sucks out here. And I'm trying to be supportive. I'm trying to, I've repented for my cheating. I've said I can't do this. I've done it with the Saints. I bandwagoned on the Chiefs. I've bandwagoned on the Bengals.
Bandwagon.
I'm a Cowboys fan, but it's hard. They're gonna make me do it again if they keep this up.
Who are you jumping to?
It's hard to say right now. Probably San Francisco.
You heard it here, guys. Michael's a San Francisco fan now.
Yeah. If they win the Super Bowl, I am. And then I will have called it back here. Okay. Yeah. So that was the news. Thank you for listening to that. That is probably one of my favorite things because we get to talk about whatever. And it's great. And now we are back to our regularly scheduled program because we have one more juicy topic to talk about.
Your mom. Sorry, keep going.
Very quickly. Which is non-traditional marriages.
LGBT. Right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to say that, yeah.
LGBTQ+.
So, okay, going into this, what have you been taught in church about marrying someone that isn't?
Come on. Classic, you're going to hell.
Yes.
Classic. Number one church classic. You're going to hell if you're gay.
Yeah.
Gay, lesbian, bi, queer, trans, plus Q.
Yeah.
You're going to hell.
Okay.
You think it? Hell. You speak it? Hell. You see it on TV? Hell.
Mini hell.
Right? Am I right or am I wrong? How do you feel?
No, I feel like that's definitely
pretty
what
much
I've been
same
taught
experience.
Very much. I mean, everybody, I think. In
Classic Christian experience.
Okay. So what do you think of that? What would you say? How do you feel about that?
I think it lacks empathy.
Okay. So, before we get into that, let me ask you, what is it do you exactly believe? Do you believe that...
It's my business. It's my business.
Sure. Is that what you believe? It's your business?
Wait, okay, finish the question, actually.
What do you believe as far as...
should gay people get married?
Not even that. I would say as a Christian...
Ooh, that's tough.
I'm going
to say, as a Christian, is it okay to be gay or be married gaily?
That one.
LGBTQ+?
Not be gay, because I do believe in the thing of... I don't actually believe that is a choice. Mm-hmm. But, so not gay, but do you believe it is a sin 2,
get married.
Get married if you're gay, or any other whatever.
Listen, dog. My heart says no. My brain says
snap.
My brain says you need to read the Bible more. You know?
Yeah.
Just something that I haven't come to terms with. And selfishly, I don't want to.
Sure. Why do you? So this is why I bring it up.
Okay.
And again,
okay.
I did this, man. I wanted to talk about it specifically for you because I know that you have a very different opinion.
Yeah, I do.
So what do you mean by selfishly you don't want to?
It's because here's the thing. I don't know enough to say either or, but my opinion says no.
No what?
It's not a sin.
Okay, got it.
But I don't know enough either or. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just a girl.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about you?
About me?
Yeah.
Okay.
How does it feel? Huh? What about you?
It feels good. I like to talk.
Okay.
So I will say this. And I have a thing prepared.
Oh, wow.
Because
I have one thing prepared.
Yeah,
that's it.
I have so many. Well, because this is such a sensitive issue, I don't really want to say anything to hurt anybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or to say anything that could potentially be incorrect biblically as well.
That's true. I don't want to say that either.
But that's the thing is, again, that's what this podcast is about. It's about learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, and we've given a huge disclaimer. So if you take anything super seriously that we say, like, that's your business. Because I'm telling you that I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
continue.
Sure. Okay, so what I'm going to say is, like I said before, I don't believe being gay is a choice. I really don't. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. I used to believe that.
Wow.
That was before I got a little bit more educated. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. Since being with you.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
No.
I didn't pressure you onto anything.
Here's the thing.
I just want to say, I don't want people to think that I like brainwashed you.
No. This is what I'm going to say. Is that the combination of going to college, the combination of getting together with a more progressive person, and also, just what the experiences that I've had with other people in my life, people that I actually care about, that maybe are gay or that maybe don't particularly align with certain Christian values, but I still love that person. Tells me that it's harder for me. It wasn't as hard, especially I think what makes it harder is that I know people now. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you're a kid, when you're just learning about it, even when you're like in high school, your early adulthood, it's not really that.
Everyone's in the closet, scared for their lives.
You don't know, like, you don't really know anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's come out. Nobody's like, you don't have to deal with it. So it's very easy to be like gay, being gay is wrong. I say all that to say that although I acknowledge that it could be biological, again, I don't know much either. I do believe, that if you want to be a Christian, God doesn't condone it. And it's harder for me to come to terms with it than it used to be. But it's what I have to say because it is what I actually believe in the Bible. It's one of those things where I yeah. It's the truth for me. Yeah. Which is that I can't find where it says that it's okay. You can find a lot of verses to say it's not. At the same time, do I believe that being a homosexual and
LGBTQ plus.
Okay, yes, being LGBTQ plus is on the same lines of, let's say, murdering or, I can't say that word on YouTube.
SA.
Thank you. SAing somebody.
Yeah.
No. I think that's where you lose me a little bit when it's like, and that's why I bring it up, is because I am on the side of, yeah, of course, I don't believe the Bible says it is cool. But when it's talked to me, whenever I'm in church and when I'm sitting there and people are saying the things that they're saying, I find myself getting defensive because I'm like, well, dude, what if somebody actually is gay in here? Yeah. And you're just like talking all this mess about them. You know what I mean? In a way that's not loving, in a way that I don't see as loving.
It lacks sympathy.
It lacks sympathy in a way that's like, you might as well have essayed somebody. You might as well have, murdered somebody. And it's like that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
If you ask me, that's not really the same thing.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
I agree.
And I used to be more closed off about it, but like I said, it's harder whenever you know people and whenever you experience love for people, and when you experience other beliefs, and you're like, yeah, actually, you're pretty chill, dude. You're not like the demon that I was told about. You're not like the thing I should be fearing, like I was taught about. You're not like trying to. Trust me, they're not trying to convert you.
No,
they're not trying to.
Yeah, in fact, it might be you who's trying to convert them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. Okay, so that's my position. Is that it's demonized too much.
It is demonized too much. They're not coming for your kids.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
They're not coming for you.
Okay, let's talk about that. This is going to be very interesting. I don't even know if we should talk about this, but we're going to because
they're not coming for your kids.
It's a podcast, and this is juicy.
It's a podcast, and it's juicy.
And I do fear sometimes because I don't really love when people talk about generalizations. That's also a big thing of mine. So let's get specific about this. A very specific, we're not going to name names, but a very specific, a very true, a very actual event happened in our lives.
Yeah.
That Anna, I think you should definitely share.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about why specifically I felt the way I did
that day.
And this happened in a church. Let's do it. Okay, here we go.
Okay. So we had a church member.
Yes.
Right? So we had a church member. We were, Sunday service at the end. The pastor's like, can I pray for anybody? We had a church member go up and say, hey, I think we should pray for this bar that's opening up down the street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, dude, all our friends are going to know what this is.
I know.
But the strangers will not.
It's a gay bar. Congregation goes, silence. Pastor goes, I had no idea that was happening, man. We really need to pray for that. And then the church member says, yeah, they really target the children. It's making you mad over again, isn't it?
It's so wrong.
They're coming for your kids. They want your kids. That's what they're doing here.
So yeah, that's the thing that we found ourselves, and it's one of those things where it's hard because as a believer, you're kind of thrown into this thing, and it's because of instances like that. Like the church has gotten a bad rap of we're insensitive. We always preach fear, Mm-hmm. We always condemn people to hell, and it's look, I don't really work that way. Mm-hmm. So how can I be a Christian if I don't work that way? And the answer is, well, because you're kind of doing it the right way, in my opinion, the godly way, the loving way, where it's like you're not going out of your way to condemn people. You're not making up things. Like that's such a false statement of if you're homosexual, you target children. That's just incorrect. Yeah. That's not even true. Okay.
Statistically, it's the people in church.
Yeah, well,
which is something that we should really. And I'm not saying it happens at every church. I'm just saying
that it's happened.
You
hear about it a lot. You hear about a lot of corrupt pastors. Exactly. A lot of,
and just like how we don't want people generalizing the Christian community or in this example, the Catholic community. We don't want people saying, "Well, every." Pastor abuses kids. Well, every Christian hates you no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that to other people?
Yeah.
A community that we know nothing of. Mm-hmm. Just the simple fact that they believe in other things.
Yeah. So how should we go about this? What do you think?
I think a lot of empathy. I think a lot of love.
So what would that look like? Give an example of empathy, love, and listening.
Listen, my friend comes up to me, LGBTQ plus community, right? He's like, hey, Anna, I've really been, reading the Bible, and I'm in the LGBT plus community, but I don't know how I feel about it anymore. I don't know if I can be a Christian, be in the LGBT plus community. I'm just so confused. Mm-hmm. I would say, hey, dude, I hear you. That's really hard. Mm-hmm. That is a really hard struggle. Tell me more about what you're going through.
Yeah.
Tell me what I can do to help you. I can't give you an answer.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, it's something that I struggle with too. Like, just the idea of it, but I'm here for you and we can read this together.
Yeah.
We can come to terms with this together. I'm never, ever going to say, and if you have, that's your tea. But me personally, I would never say, well, you're going to hell and you're going to burn forever. Like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, if somebody came at me like, well, you're going to hell, I would be like, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like this. I came to you with something that I'm struggling with. I came to you with something that I've never told anyone before. I came to you asking for help, and you're going to shut me down like that?
Yeah, right.
But that's just my tea.
Well, I agree. And I think that's...
What's your tea?
Well, here's my tea, which is that I totally agree. And that brings me to my point of this behavior has only really been taught to do one of two things. One, it maybe does turn somebody's life around. Maybe they do repent from the sin. Mm-hmm. But now they've entered a relationship with God that is more fear-based. That is more... okay, so now it's like it's a reward, good behavior, spite bad behavior, which, to be fair, and this is where I can't take away Christianity, like being a Christian, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to fear God. And then, you do bad things. Typically, eventually it will catch up to you. I do believe that. But, it's not what it is. That's not who God is. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna be able to show them mm-hmm. And this goes for anybody who disagrees, or let's take it to even like people who are non-believers. Let's take it to people who are secular in general. In any way, mm-hmm. if you're trying to get them to be Christian, that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah,
is tell them that they're gonna go to hell and that they need to stop what they're doing, because like nobody wants to be confronted like that anyway. Oh. Do you want to be confronted like that? Do you listen whenever somebody is like, hey, being, God's not real.
So true.
It's, and then again, I'm not trying to say like you specifically, mm-hmm. the viewers, mm-hmm. but like this is like people we've dealt with, and then ourselves as well. Because I will be the first to admit that I've had this false. I would say like it's like a false, like you think you're better than everybody, dude. It's kind of weird.
I will say that for me as well.
Yeah.
Like you grow up because that's what you're taught.
Yeah.
You're the salt of the earth, and I mean you are, but respect other people as well.
Yeah.
like
it shouldn't be an us versus them mentality, which is where I think it sometimes goes to, especially nowadays, with social media, and it's both sides. I'd say. Mm-hmm. It can be both sides.
Both sides. Let's be real honest with ourselves. It's both sides.
Yeah. I agree. So I would really say that as Christians right now, especially nowadays, I personally believe we should be focused on loving people more than ever. We should be focused on listening to people more than ever, and we should be focused on talking to people and like actually talking to them and actually listening to them and actually caring about what they're going through. And then, sharing our peace, and then not budging. Like, don't budge from what you believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I will still tell you, and I will still tell people that I don't believe it's right.
Mm-hmm. But you'll do it with respect. Like, like if I would say if that person came up to you, I think you would say, well, this is what I believe. But, like, whatever you decide at the end, like, here's the Bible. Like, whatever you decide at the end, I'll respect that.
Yeah, we don't have the power to change people. God does.
We don't have the power to change people.
So we have the power to talk to people. We have the power to share our experiences with people. We have the power to, be disciples to people.
Yeah.
But that only comes whenever you can open up a true relationship and a loving conversation with people. And I've seen more of that. I'm very happy about that. Yeah. But we got a lot of work to do, because I feel like Christians in general that's not the first thing you think about.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to say. I think, and this is again my opinion, it's just my opinion.
Yes.
I think that the key to Christians reaching more people is changing the world's view on us. And we're not supposed to care about the world, but I think it's different. I think if we change our narrative.
Watch that cable right there.
That always happens to me. I think if we change our narrative, it'll be easier for other people to come to us.
Yeah.
For us to reach them,
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just my opinion.
I agree. I think that's a very good outlook on that.
Back to gay marriage.
Sure.
I have this one little thing, and then I think we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
I have a little quote again that I got from an article here on BetterHelp. An article by BetterHelp. Actually, no, not an article by BetterHelp. That's my fun fact. This is something else.
I forgot about that. Okay.
In conclusion.
Yes.
All things considered, it is important to remember that throughout church history, new information about people in the world have frequently led Christians to reconsider their beliefs. This need not be a reason to distrust Scripture, but rather should serve as an invitation to wrestle with the context of the biblical writers and our own lived experiences. As it stands today, there are millions of faithful Christians around the world who have come to recognize the work of God, and through the relationships of LGBTQ plus people. As a New Testament scholar, Daniel Kirk has pointed out, Christians today would do well by the tradition of the apostles and our current witnesses in the world to recognize that theological abstractions aside, God has already Amen.
What happened?
Nothing. I don't want to read the rest.
Why?
Because I don't want to be like, okay, guys, I'm really nervous because a lot of you are personal family, and like, I don't want to, like, I don't want you to hate me. Okay.
No, nobody should hate you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not a bad influence at all. I'm really nice.
What were you gonna say?
Okay.
What could it possibly be?
It's just such a hot take. Okay. Sorry, Michael's parents.
It's okay.
Okay. Christians today would do well by the tradition of the apostles and our current witnesses in the world to recognize that, theological abstractions aside, God has already clearly embraced LGBTQ plus people into full communion, and it is now that church's responsibility to simply honor the reality and rejoice. Luke 15.
Oh, wait, what? Luke 15?
It's the reality and rejoice part.
Oh, okay.
That'd be funny. The Bible says God has already accepted LGBTQ plus.
Done. That was written 100 years ago.
That being said, I think it more speaks to I know there was a lot of mumbo jumbo, but if you read the full article, I think it more speaks to,
we can link it.
Yeah, we'll link it. I think it more speaks to we always talk about the Bible in context. We always talk about, the Bible says this, but in this context, in the back then context, in the world is always changing, the world is always moving, and us Christians have already done it. Like us as Christians have already shaped the Bible into this worldview. Do you know what I mean? There's things that we already say, well, the Bible didn't mean this exactly, but in this context it does.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As Christians, we already
we've
do
done that. Yeah.
That's all. I'll leave you with that tidbit.
Cool. Yeah, I would say very interesting hot take there.
I know, it is really great.
I don't know if I agree with all of it.
I know,
but I will say
I know, and I'm not pressuring anybody. You know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But that's why I'm just putting also my viewpoint out there.
Yeah.
Which is that has more to be discussed as well. Which is well, I'll go ahead and ask it because I don't want to leave things
undisturbed.
Nah, what is it?
Unturned.
Unexplored. That's the word. I don't want to leave things unexplored, but we've been running a while, but I think this is interesting.
Yes.
You said that God has already accepted, at least the article has.
The article did.
LGBTQ.
And I like
What do you think of that?
I think it's my opinion.
That's fair. Yeah, I would say, I don't know if I necessarily believe that.
Yeah.
But I will say also that I don't know nearly enough to fight you on it.
And I don't know nearly enough to fight you on it as
Yeah.
well. Again, it's just my opinion, and I'm never ever gonna be like, well, you're wrong ever. Like, if you come to me and you're like, well, Anna, like, I read this, I'll be like, okay, cool, I'll take that into consideration. I haven't formed my fully fledged, but right now where I stand is I am pro LGBTQ plus.
Sure, absolutely. Well, there you go. I will say I would love to hear. I had a different call to action, but I want to hear more about this one. So let us know. This is a very sensitive, obviously interesting. Not everybody's going to agree with what we said today.
I know, yeah.
About this.
But I love you.
Oh yeah, dude. We love this. We love you guys. I love her. I already knew that. This is not news to me. But I will say that we want to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think about this issue? What have you experienced? how do you go about situations like this? Maybe you don't ever, because day to day I don't really. But it's just one of those things, you talk about, I feel like, every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it should be over preached. It's one of those, for me, it's a sin, but it's no different than any other sin. I don't know why it's harped on so much. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Do you agree with her? Do you disagree with her? Let us know. Send us videos.
Because I'll cry. So
she will cry.
I will cry.
But
so don't be mean to me because I'll cry.
Be mean to me. It's okay. I won't cry.
Don't be mean to you.
No, don't be mean to me. I will cry secretly.
Okay.
But yeah, let us know what you think, man. And we'd probably revisit it because I feel like there's so much we could talk about.
Yeah, maybe like in a year.
We can revisit this in like a year, yeah, something like that, and like really get again. And if you guys want to be on the show and talk about it, I would actually absolutely love that. But ending on a light note, as we always like to do before we close out this episode, what you hear right now,
beep, 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 beep.
Not that, but the other thing that's playing
Beep, 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 beep.
is telling me it's time. It's telling me that no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's telling me that it's time for my favorite segment of the entire podcast. It's my favorite so much that we moved it to the very end of the podcast.
So we forgot.
So we can end on it. That was on purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about, of course, Anna's fun fact of the day. Take it away, please.
Okay.
What do you got?
Sticking to our marriage theme, I have one here.
Yes.
Less than a second after looking at oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Again, sorry. Seeing a picture of someone you care about can lower stress and pain levels and help you heal faster if you are injured or sick.
Wow. That's very sweet.
Isn't that sweet? And I'll go ahead and read you the other one.
Read me the other one.
Less than a second after looking at someone we love, the brain releases chemicals such as oxytocin and dopamine. Oh. Together, they provide a sense of intense happiness and well-being.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. Thank you for those fun facts. That is a very positive note to end on. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to be. I don't always love talking about these things, but they need to be done. And maybe next week we'll take a break and talk about something a little more light.
Ooh, what should we talk about next week?
We'll figure it out. We don't really have a topic now. We have one coming up that we need to prepare for.
We have a very special
I will say this. When it comes Halloween time, you are not going to want to miss that episode. We have a very, very, very special episode planned. And it is going to be absolutely awesome. It's going to be on par with Halloween in a way. And it's going to be juicy. It's going to be tea-ridden. It's going to be captivating. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, check us out next Wednesday. We'll be right back here with another episode for you. Thank you for checking out this one. And that concludes this episode of the Worship Warrior Podcast. See you guys next week. Yeah.
Bye.